Hello, everybody. Get my microphone situated. My table can sometimes be a little wonky, so all right. Hope you all are doing well today. Thanks everybody who um, is joining the live or who will come into the live. Let me know where you're coming in from. What state, what country are you watching from? And I wanted to know from you all if you've been enjoying the new YouTube videos that I've been posting. So we have a couple things to talk about, but let me know where you're from and if you've been enjoying the new YouTube videos that I've been putting out. So I've really been trying to stick to my posting schedule. So that's been really important to me these last couple of weeks. So let me make sure that we're live and good to go. And let me know where you are coming in from. So I mentioned I was responding to a lot of comments yesterday and mentioned that one of my goals is to start coming on live so I can start answering your questions in real time. A lot of you have questions about your career, where you are. I just sent out an email to anyone if you're on my email list, letting you know what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to make sure that I cover all the things that I mentioned inside of in the email, because it's a lot going on in the profession. Y'all let me know if y'all can feel it too. Does it feel like it's a lot going on right now? It's a lot going on in the social work space. It's a lot going on in the therapy space. So I wanted us to have time to talk about, like, what is the state of our profession? What's going on in social work? What's going on in the mental health field? um, I want to talk through a couple of the posts that I saw on Instagram. I wanted to get you all's thoughts about it just to see what you're noticing. And then you all know that I talk about the 3 stages of professionalism. So if you're in the career phase, if you're in the scaffolding phase, meaning you're trying to build something on the side, or the CEO phase, meaning you own your own business, let me know what phase are you in. And then we can talk about how things are specifically impacting you. So let me make sure we're good to go on the live. Okay, yeah, we're good. So it says one person is waiting, but it shouldn't be because I'm live. It says I'm live. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So if you all can let me know, where are you watching from? What state? What country? Where are y'all watching from? I don't know why it says 6 waiting. I don't know if I'm supposed to let people in. I shouldn't have to do that, I don't think. Can you all hear me and see me okay? Let me know if you can hear me and see me, because it says that it's people waiting, but we're live. So, oh, from Maryland. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. You can hear me, which is great. Thank you for being here on the live. Welcome, welcome. Oh, yeah, okay, you can hear and see me. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you all from New York. Oh, amazing. Yeah, I just worked with a client. She was from New York. So, yeah, I definitely, that's one of my favorite places to visit. I've been to Maryland. I like Maryland too. It's really pretty. I actually drove there from Ohio once, and the view, like the scenery, was really pretty. beautiful trees. It was like in the fall. So yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Let me know, what do you all do within the social work profession? Are you therapists, social workers, helping professionals, meaning you're working in the social service field, but you don't have the title of a social worker, or maybe you do social work, but you're not officially um, having gone through like a master's or a bachelor's program. So what kind of work do y'all do? Let me know. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for joining the live. Hey, and then if you all have questions, make sure that you put your questions in the chat. So I'm making sure that I'm answering all of your questions tonight. I thank you all so much for being here. Currently, I'm on my way going to get my LSW this fall. Oh, perfect. Okay, good. So going to get your MSW. All right. A therapist. Oh, perfect. Okay. So I don't know if you all saw my email. I sent the email out. It's a lot going on in the therapist space. AI is like really disrupting our profession, therapist, social work profession, just like it's happening to a lot of other professions. It's happening in media. Um, it's happening in the marketing space. It's happening in tech. And I know that a lot of us are like really worried and concerned about what is this going to mean, especially for therapists who are on platforms like BetterHelp, Talkspace, Growth Therapy, Sondermind. That was one of the things that I wanted to see if I could pull up on the screen. Is it was on a LinkedIn post. I don't know if I took a screenshot of it, so I just wanted to share like what all has been going on. You all have probably been seeing it on your feed, just like I've been seeing it on mine, just kind of what's been going on in the space. And I'm just wondering how you all are feeling about it. Are your agencies talking about AI? What's going on in your day-to-day work? Let me know what you are noticing. Here from Houston. Oh, amazing. Perfect. Okay, good. Let's see. Corrections. Okay, perfect. School of Study for MSW. Okay, amazing. From Texas, Houston, just graduated with my MSW. Okay, great. Congratulations to all the new graduates. So good. Super excited for all of you. So, um, this is definitely a time where I will want to encourage you to think about where you are in the profession, what your goals are in the profession, you being able to design the career that you want instead of settling for the one that you think that you have to have. So that's like one of the biggest things that I talk about on my channel. And the reason why I talk so much about helping you all prepare when you're graduating with your MSW degree, just because you're taught traditional ways of becoming a social worker when you're going through the program, that doesn't mean that those are the only options available. And I want you all to know what those options are. Even if you're a therapist and you have a little bit more of a specialized skill, sometimes we think that going private pay or working on one of the platforms like Sondermind, BetterHelp, Growth Therapy, that those are our only options. And I want you all to begin thinking outside the box on what these options can look like, because when you work at an agency, when you work on a platform like Growth Therapy, Sondermind, BetterHelp, those agencies and those companies remain and have all of the control over your pay, over your time, over your career trajectory, how much you earn, the cap on your income. So when you're first starting out, that might be the only thing that you can do in that moment. But when you're thinking long term, I really want you all to think about creating a plan, creating a career plan that can help you navigate from where you are to where it is that you want to be. That's really important. Let me see. I'm still a student in social work, majoring in family and human services. Majoring in family and human services. Hoping to learn from everyone here. Okay, perfect. Just being informed about what's going on. not worried about it because at the end of the day, you can't compromise authenticity, integrity with who you've been called, with what you've been called to do. I agree. I 100% agree. I don't think it's anything to be worried about in terms of will we not have work. I don't think that it's going to disrupt our industry, but I don't think it's going to totally eliminate our industry. But I do think that this is a time to prepare and pivot. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the book Who Moved My Cheese, but the book is kind of navigating through what happens when someone moves your cheese. It's a story of two mice. I think it was Scratch, and I can't think the other name of the mouse. But they're like going through this maze trying to find their cheese. And the whole point of the book is, what do you do when your cheese has moved? You can either get super scrappy and resourceful and try to find out, how to navigate yourself or navigate around it, or you can complain and like bemoan the fact that the cheese has been moved and now your life is changing and you have to make these adjustments. So I feel like we're at a phase right now within our profession where that is the case. So it's really going to be dependent upon what is the direction that how do you want to handle it? Do you want to have what we call like a fixed mindset, meaning you think that things are the way that they are, the way that they're always going to be, where you're just kind of reacting to the environment, you're not really taking ownership over your career? Or are you going to have a growth mindset where you're going to try to figure out how you can maybe use the tools for your benefit, how you can learn new skills, how you can leverage it online, how you can use it as an asset for the things that you want to do later on in your career? So I want this to be a moment of empowerment for you where you're really thinking about what it is that you can design and create, as opposed to feeling like you have to kind of succumb to the things that are happening within the world and within society. So I know when you're first starting out, like it can feel like you just kind of have to grind it out and do all the things that you need to do. That's why when you're in the career phase, I recommend that you try to nail down an area of expertise, something that you can be known for, something that could be associated with the work that you do, where you have a depth of knowledge, where you're doing a lot of research and a lot of studying on your own time. Oftentimes your degree, it'll prepare you for the basics, it'll give you the generalist level understanding, but if you want to go a little bit deeper, then I always recommend taking the time to invest in your own learning so that you can have a strong knowledge base in an area of specialization. So one of the areas that I worked in when I was getting my degree was school social work, and that's what I specialized in. I did a specialization in school social work. I did my internships in a school and an after school program, which really kind of started giving me that foundational knowledge of working with youth, understanding how youth development impacts behavior. And then I started integrating new knowledge as I continued on in my career. So I would really recommend and suggest that you all do that as well in your career, so you know what your options can be when you decide to expand. So do any of you have any questions about where you are in your career? Um, Maybe what you're noticing in the profession, things that you are kind of curious about, like what's going to happen, and then I'll kind of cover some of the things that I wanted to talk about specifically. So I mentioned one of the therapists online had made a post about Talkspace. Let me see if I can find the post and what it says. So this will be relevant for any therapists who are watching live. So let me find her post. Let's see. So give me 1 second. Okay, so she said Talkspace collected 8 billion words from therapy sessions. Here's what they're doing with them. So this was a carousel that she created. She said Talkspace CEO investors says the company has 8 billion words, 140 million messages, and 6.2 million assessments and sessions from the platform. You know how much data that is? Data is like the new oil in terms of the online space. When agencies and organizations began collecting this much data, the same way like Google collects a lot of data from us, this is the thing that's causing therapists to have concern about being displaced, because when big agencies have access to this much information around things that are people are struggling with, problems that they're experiencing, things that they experienced that didn't work, solutions that they're looking to, then they can start building more tools and more assets to help with those concerns and with those diagnoses. So I'm sure that it's not necessarily about what the client is going through, but what other tools and resources that these companies can put together to maintain users on the platform. Now, all of this is happening at the detriment of therapists who are on the platform because their rates are continuing to be cut. There was another post that I saw on LinkedIn where it was mentioning about someone was put off of the Sondermind platform when she didn't feel that she did anything wrong. So this is just kind of the era that we're in now. And then she says they're using the data to build an AI therapy bot called Talk AI. The goal is to get insurance companies to pay for it. Then she says your client's most vulnerable moments are training data for a bot. The company wants insurers to reimburse instead of paying you. If you're on any platform, she says, ask what is the company's most valuable asset. If the answer is the data, the data that your clients generate, that tells you everything that you need to know about whose interest comes first. So I thought that was a really strong post. It's something that we need to be paying attention to as professionals, because when we're on platforms like that, working for a platform or on a platform like that, or working within an agency setting, it's still the same model. It's still someone paying you for your knowledge and expertise, extracting your knowledge and expertise, and then paying you a low wage for it, and then making millions off of it or billions off of your knowledge. That's why I created the social work success path for social workers and therapists, because it teaches you how to get out of that model where you're learning how to use your own knowledge. You're learning how to create your own resources and your own assets, and it benefits you 100%, not the companies or the agencies that we work for. Now, I get some of us, we have to start there. You have to build up your expertise, but I'm just encouraging social workers to know that that doesn't have to be the long-term goal. We have so many more options now. Okay, let's see. That's the problem with the NASW. I think they're more, the words on here are really small. Let me see. I'm trying to zoom in, see if I can make it bigger. I thought I was able to put the comments like on the screen. Let me see if I can put the comment on the screen. Then it might make it easier for me to read it. Let's see what happens if I pin the message. Oh, that put it to the top. That's not what I was trying to do. Let's see. That's the problem with the NASW, more reactive than what's going on in the world rather than being justice interrupters they claim the profession is to be. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I want to talk about the NASW for a second too. Questions: when you get licensed, does it expire 2 years or it's used for the rest of the work you contribute as a social worker? So for most license, for mine, it expires, I want to say 5 years. My independent license, I have to renew it every 5 years. And then I have to have my continuing education that I'm getting, excuse me, 30 hours of continuing education. But I think that depends on the licensure level. You usually have to complete CEUs within 2 years to keep the license active. You have to renew usually every 2 years. Yeah, I think mine is 5, because I know for sure it's been longer than 2 years for me. You and your videos and knowledge of social work are much appreciated. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's talk about the NASW right quick, because one of the other things that I wanted us to talk about was this whole social work not being considered a profession. I feel like that whole conversation, let me know if you guys have been following the conversation about what the um, I can't even think of the name, U.S. Educational Department of Education has done in terms of changing the classification of social work. Have you all been following that and what's been going on? So I feel like that totally got blown out of proportion. I feel like the way that the narrative got spun really took the entire conversation out of context. So what happened was the Department of Education was in the process of reclassifying a lot of the degrees, not just social work. I'm sure you all heard it was nursing, it was chiropractic, it was dentistry, any degree that requires a high level of loans to complete that program. So social work was, of course, a part of it. Public health was a part of it. Nursing was a part of it. So what they were looking at were loan distribution, meaning which degrees require a high level of loan limits in order to complete it versus the ones that don't. So what we were advocating for, what I noticed the NASW was advocating for, we took it personal when it was not a personal conversation. It was about business. And I think that's one of the major reasons why we get so messed up in the social work profession is because we know about social service and we don't understand business all the time. So what they were looking at is how can we reduce the number of loans that are being issued for these degrees if you don't need $200,000 to get a loan. Now let me know in the comments, did any of you pay $200,000 for your degree or for your master's, for your bachelor's degree? And not only did you pay $200,000, would you have wanted to take out $200,000 in loans to get the degree? Most of us wouldn't have wanted to take out 200,000 because our degree doesn't even position us to make that much when we first graduate with it. So a beginning MSW makes nowhere near 100,000 when the average MSW makes nowhere near $200,000 when they first graduate from the profession. So why would we as social workers be advocating for a larger loan limit when the amount of money that we're going to be paid within the profession, it doesn't add up. The compensation doesn't even match what we're requesting to take out in terms of a loan. Now, does a doctor need 200,000 to take out in loans to finish the program? Yes. Does a lawyer need access to 200,000 in order to finish their program? Yes. Does a nurse? Maybe not. She can find probably a program that doesn't cost $200,000. So when we heard the word social work not being a profession, that was just a classification that was used like a professional degree, a terminal degree. It was that type of professional degree, not saying that social workers weren't professional in terms of value and qualification. It had nothing to do with our qualification. It had to do with the classification for loan disbursement. So we took that narrative, we spun it in totally the wrong way, I think. And then we talked about how it would impact accessibility for minority populations. I don't know anyone within a low income community or population that I would encourage to take out an $100,000 loan to become a social worker. It makes no sense. So I don't believe we're limiting access for minority populations, Black, Latino communities, or Latinx communities to be able to access becoming social workers because we don't need to be taking out that much money to get this degree in the first place. And that conversation to me doesn't need to rest on the shoulders of the Department of Education. That conversation needs to happen with colleges and universities who are charging these rates for the degree. That to me is where the conversation should have shifted to. So that is what I wanted to clear that up. I've made videos about it. I've made carousels about it on Instagram. I've sent out information to my email list. But you know, the NASW is a large organization, so their voice can carry. I just wanted to let my community know what the deal was with the Department of Education because it wasn't anything like what they were mentioning it to be. So, oh, I got a little mascara on my face. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I have 5 licenses and they expire in 2 years. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for answering that question. It depends on the state. Yeah, I think so. I think it does depend on the state. Heard about it from school. I'm taking my classes. Motivated me to keep going on the studies further. Okay, good. And I'm glad that that it's not discouraging any of you to complete your degree, or complete your master's. I definitely think that you have to be creative when you have an MSW, because the traditional roles that you're taught, those are the roles that you can start with, but those aren't all the roles that you're eligible for. And one of the things that I had to learn early on in my career is when I started working around different professionals, meaning when I got out of the social work bubble, then I started to see and understand that there were other things that I could do in my career. So, for example, when I first started out, um, because I was working in schools, when you work in the school is dependent on taxpayer dollars, and it also gets money from a levy. So your county levy, your city levy, your city tax are the thing that determines how much money your school gets. So because that was a part of the infrastructure of the school community, there would be campaigns where we would talk about issues that were going to impact resources that will come into the school. So then that introduced me to the political side of education. And then when I got introduced to the political side of education, then I got introduced to the candidates who were going to be running for the school board, or candidates who were going to be running for city commission or for the mayor's office, because they were wanting to have a say in what was happening in the educational space. So that took me out of just being a social worker in the social work bubble, and then it made me work in adjacent to politics. So I learned about school based politics, I learned about city based politics, and then I started working on political campaigns at the local and state level. So, what I learned from that transition is some of the roles that you can qualify for as a social worker, the title won't always be social worker. So I was working as I worked as a legislative aide. That was one of my titles. So when I worked at the city doing city government work, I worked as a legislative aide, and I was able to get that position because I built a relationship with the person who was running for a city commission seat, and I worked on his campaign. And then when he won, because I did such a good job working on his campaign, when he won the campaign, he was able to hire in who he wanted for his team. And then I was one of the candidates that he wanted to come on board. So look for roles that are adjacent to the work that you want to do, because again, I was passionate about schools. I was working in schools. That led me to the political side of education, where I then started working on issues campaigns, and then that broadened my knowledge and my scope around school-based work. And then I got introduced to a lot of other professions. Now, when you're working on a campaign, you get exposed to people at the local, state, national level, the people who are really making the decisions in your community, business leaders. You get invited with the candidate. You get invited to speak at community events, so you get to meet a lot of different organizations within your community. It opens up so many doors when you really get your feet wet by volunteering in your community and doing community based work. So from that, when I started doing more issues campaigns and issues based work, then that introduced me to issues campaigns that impacted higher ed. Because not only do levies and issue campaigns impact the public school setting, they also impact the colleges and universities within your community. So then that introduced me to higher ed, and then I started working in higher ed as well. So it was still the continuum of me having my career be focused in education, but I went from preschool, school age, um, policy and education, and then into higher ed. So that was kind of like the trajectory of my career. And then I did a couple other things outside of that, but that is really what gave me my knowledge and understanding about school based work. Let's see. You all have to forgive me. I don't know what these crowns mean. I probably should have looked it up. All top fans. Thank you all. Thank you so much. It says the top fans with the crown. So thank you all so much. I probably should have looked that up before I came online. So I knew what that meant. Jessica, thank you so much. Um, yeah, that's the name that I keep saying. Yeah, Jessica, thank you. Sonia, thank you. Looks like it's two Jessicas. Thank you, LaBelle. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for being here. So, does anyone have any questions about your career? Anything that you're having difficulty navigating, how to maybe make that transition? Are you all volunteering in your community? I guess I should be asking that. That should be my first question, because that's something that I 100% advocate for. Are you all volunteering in your community? And if you tell me that you don't have time to volunteer, we have to figure it out. We have to figure out the time, because your growth in the profession, or they say your network is determined by, or your net worth is determined by your network. I honestly believe that. You have to get in the room with people who can put you in bigger rooms. Okay, perfect. Um, is that Paige? I can't see. Okay, perfect. Volunteering, great. Great, 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 great. So glad to hear. Thank you for thank you for showing up and sharing your wisdom. Oh, you're absolutely welcome. What or who inspired you to be a social worker? Um, so this is how it happened for me. I always say that social work is just a natural fit for my personality, because I've always been like a problem solver. I've always been a helper. That's just innately who I am. I believe I was a social worker before I even knew the title, before I knew it was a profession. Now, I absolutely could have did a lot of different things, because I do have a lot of different skill sets. But in terms of me just being able to feel like I'm doing work that is important in the world, that's really impacting people's lives, it was just a natural fit for me. I was always the one who was, like, if someone was being bullied on the playground, I was the one who would sit next to them on the school bus, or I was the one who would help someone, like, figure something out. I was like a helper at when I was in school. I would take people to the office if they needed to know where to go. I was doing things for teachers inside the school when I was a student. So I've always just been just a natural helper. So from that, I noticed something in my community. So I grew up in lower middle class, I would say, community, and I noticed, I played sports. I ran track and I cheered. And when we would get on the bus to go to the school that we were playing, I lived in an urban area, but we played sports against schools who were in a suburban area. So we would drive from my neighborhood and my community through this one community. It was called Oakwood. And it literally looked like we were in a different world. Like, what is this with these clean streets and these lights up for Christmas, and these buildings with, like, so innate and clean. And my community didn't look like no potholes in the street. I mean, we would literally just drive from my community to the urban community, and I never understood, like, why is there such a difference between driving 20 minutes from my community and my street and driving here, and it feels so much like home, like homey. People are riding their bikes and getting ice cream at the local ice cream shop at the corner. It was just different. So it really got me interested in why some communities have things and why other ones don't. Why some communities seem like they have access to resources, while other ones seem like they're strained for resources. So I took a sociology class when I was in college, and that's when I started getting introduced to those concepts around disparity, equity, social stratification. It was really interesting to me, like, why some people have things and other people don't. What are the different class structures and class systems? So that, I knew that was something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to dive deeper into the lives that people had inside of those systems, and how they can move from not having something to having a better life. So when I went to college, um, I let my advisor know, like, this is what I'm interested in. I kind of explained that, and it was like, well, you might want to take an introduction to social work and an introduction to education class and just see which one is the better fit. So that's what I did. I took an introduction to education class, and I took an introduction to social work my first year in undergrad. In the social work course, it was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to help. It made so much sense to me. Like, I wanted to play a role in those social problems that we talked about, the social justice issues, women's issues, minority issues, like all of those things just really spoke to me. So I decided to double down and major in social work. And because I loved school so much growing up and I had such a great experience in school, that's what I decided to do my specialization in, was school social work. So that was a very long answer to a very short question. Let's see. Being creative as a social worker is a must. Oh, 100%. 100%. That's called disinvestment in certain neighborhoods. Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't have the context for it then. Like, I didn't know the words, what was happening, but it absolutely was that. And I was witnessing it as a 17 and 18-year-old student, but I didn't have the context for it. I didn't know the language or what it was and why it was happening. That's what I got so fascinated with. As social workers, it is our professional responsibility to fill gaps where government lack resources through NGO or community solutions, or does that risk letting governments off the hook? Is it our responsibility to fill gaps? Um, so I would say yes and no, because I feel like I just recently uploaded a video on my channel, because I feel like sometimes that's the lie that we get told as social workers. We're sometimes told the lie and we don't know it's a lie. Like, nobody's intentionally saying, "Oh, I'm going to lie to these social workers." But I think that's the misconception, or the thing that we're not taught enough. It's our actual role in changing systems. Because when we're in school, we're led to believe that if we advocate, if we write a letter to our politician, or if we rally around an issue, change happens through advocacy. It takes a really long time for change to happen through advocacy. Advocacy is probably the slowest way for change to come about within a society. And it's oftentimes not through advocacy. And that's what I didn't understand. I didn't understand the scope of how companies and corporations run our government, and the impact that money has on the policies that actually pass. I didn't know, had no clue. I thought, well, we just show up, we advocate, we show what the problem is, and then our leadership will respond to the problem. The resources will come for the problem. But then when you get into the work and you notice the resources aren't coming, the budgets are short, we're being asked to do a lot with a little, then it's like, okay, something in this system is broken. It was something along the lines that we didn't get the memo, or the government didn't get the memo, that resources are supposed to be coming down for this population. But the more that I began to understand the dynamics of how politics controlled the resources, then my role within the profession began to change, because I felt like I was like, what's the analogy that they say when you're scooping water back into the ocean with a bucket, or using a bucket to scoop water back into the ocean? It feels like you're doing that. Like, the ocean is so vast, and all you have is a little bucket, and you're just trying to scoop water back into the ocean when it comes up on the tide. And if it, I think that's what causes us to be burnt out, because we get disillusioned around the actual depth of the work, like what it requires for change to actually happen. So I do believe that it's the responsibility of the government, but you have to have a government who is proactive and wanting change to happen. And I don't think that um, oftentimes our government reflects the fact that change needs to happen, because we have so many other interests that are driving our government's policies, and it's not the people. And that was something else that I didn't know. I didn't understand. I thought, okay, well, you just vote, and when you vote, that is what changes policy. But the people's vote isn't always the thing that runs and changes policy. It's the people, the lobbyists, the business owners who have the money to pay for the politicians. I thought it was fair game all the way across, and it wasn't. So I do believe that advocacy needs to take place, but we have to be realistic about the change that advocacy can bring about, and the pace of our advocacy, because sometimes change is really slow, and we can get discouraged when things aren't happening as quickly as we would like for them to, and think that it's a reflection of us in our work, when it's really just the system running, doing what it always does the way that it always has. So you have to think about, where do you fit in that? Do you even want to fit in that? Because you can make the decision and say, I think I want to go a different route with my career. And then you have other ways that you can give back to the community. You have other ways that you can support the causes that you care about, but you don't necessarily have to be the one who ascribes to doing the grunt work of that. So I hope that answers your question. So yes, I do feel like we do help fill the gaps, but that's the reason why I love the online space so much, and that why I love YouTube and why I promote teaching what you know online, because there's multiple ways to fill a gap. You can fill a gap through working at an agency. You can fill a gap through starting a YouTube channel. You can fill a gap by building a community around the issue that matters to you. So you don't necessarily have to wait for government to act when you have so much freedom around what you can create, using your own voice, using your own perspective, using the things that matter to you. That's another way to create change. And I think sometimes we're used to going through the system for change to happen, for us using the social service systems to make it happen. But social work, not social work, but social media has really blown the lid off of what advocacy can look like, and who you can bring into your community and how you help them. So let's just say, for example, if you had an issue that mattered to you, and you were to start a YouTube channel, or you were to direct your Instagram community around that issue, or you were able to create a Facebook group or Facebook community centered around that issue, then now you can have a groundswell of people who support what you do, who understand your perspective, who understands why the problem is important. Or you can choose to solve it in the way that you feel it needs to be solved, and the level of advocacy you believe needs to happen. So it gives us so much freedom to be able to use the platforms in a way that doesn't stifle us. It doesn't um, require that an agency give us permission. You can literally design the career that you want to have, and talk about the things that you want to talk about in the way that it matters to you. Now, I do think when you do come into the online space, there is an art to being on social media that I like to educate social workers about, social workers and therapists, because the idea is just not advocating for advocacy's sake. It's how can you learn how your advocacy can start creating a revenue stream for you, to where you're not stuck in one-on-one work if that's not what you want to do. So that's what I advocate for social workers to, like, really drill down on what it is that you want to do, who it is that you want to help, and then how can you use your voice to expand your reach without it only having to be through an agency or through a private practice. Any other questions? So I did want to know, for those of you who are here, where did you see the message about me being live? Was it on my email list? Was it on TikTok, Instagram? Because I sent it out a couple places. I sent it out to my Stand Store email list, and I sent it out through my Kajabi email list, and then I posted it on my stories on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Email? Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here. On YouTube? Okay, perfect. YouTube. Okay, good. All right, amazing. So for those of you, or any of you, I guess, if you are from my email list or from YouTube, um, I welcome you to check out the new videos that I posted. I went through yesterday and replied to as many comments as I could, even the ones that from 2 years ago that I missed. So I was jotting down some notes, and I do have some videos coming up that are going to answer a lot of the questions that you all had in the comments. So if there is a topic that I haven't covered yet, let me know what that is. But I have a full list. Like, I know the videos that you all want to see from me. So I do have intention on making those videos. I have some in queue now that I need to post. So it might take a little bit of time. I might like mix it up. I could mix it up with the comments that I got from you all, plus the ones that I've already recorded that I'm waiting to get edited. So the videos, they'll be coming. And I mentioned too on the post on YouTube that I'm probably going to have to upload more than once a week. So I've been sticking to my schedules, uploading on Mondays, every Monday. So with the amount of videos that I need to push out, I might have to upload maybe like two a week. Popped up on YouTube feed. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for being here. Receiving notification on YouTube. Oh, amazing. Great. Do y'all have any questions as far as like video titles? Or let me make sure that I covered all the things. So we talked through the Talkspace conversation. So I know a lot of you are still in school, still in your MSW program. So if you're not a clinician, then that part probably won't apply to you yet, as far as what's going on with the major platforms, Talkspace, Headway, Sondermind. The fact that a monopoly is happening within the mental health space, and the organizations are doing business just like businesses do. They're condensing resources and they're monopolizing the data from these platforms. And social workers and therapists who are on the platforms are the ones who are the cannon fodder. We're the ones who are suffering the most, being paid the least, while these companies make billions and millions of dollars. And it's really sad and unfortunate, because oftentimes we're sold to these platforms out of convenience. We get on the platforms because we want the freedom of not working in a 9 to 5, but we don't want the headache and hassle of owning and running a business. So we feel like it's giving us the best of both worlds, because we get to be like a freelancer or independent contractor, or gives us the illusion that we're working for ourselves, but we don't own our client list. We don't own our income in terms of what we can charge. We're pretty much like a glorified employee. They tell us the rate that they're going to pay us. We don't get to negotiate the rate. They tell us the clients who we're going to see. And I know a lot of you wanted me to make a video on the platforms, like reviewing the platforms. I have tried a lot of the platforms. I don't think I finished the Talkspace process. It was just too cumbersome. I think they just asked way too many questions. So I didn't finish it, but I did finish BetterHelp's. I did Grow. I did Sondermind. Um, what else? Headway. Yeah, those are the four. I'm not done Alma. So I will review those companies and give you all my honest recommendations. Now, I have therapists who are inside of my membership. So I do have a membership for social workers who want to expand beyond one-to-one work. That could be one-to-one client work or beyond their 9 to 5. The membership is called Design Your Career. So all the therapists and social workers who are inside of Design Your Career, they're literally working on how to become content creators. Not content creators in the sense that, you spend all of your time making videos on TikTok and Instagram to become an influencer. We're using content creation as a strategic career move. A strategic career move, meaning if you have a level of expertise and you have something to teach, and you're already making content on TikTok, and you're already making content on YouTube, and you're already making content on Instagram, what I do is I come alongside you if you're already making content, and I show you how to monetize your content. I show you how to make more money from your content, how to earn from your content. So you're not just posting and talking and yapping and then not getting any money for it. So that's what I show social workers and therapists how to do. And if you're someone who, you follow content creators and you're like, how are they making so much money? I show you the marketing strategies of what they're doing on the back end and what they're building, so that you can learn how to do the same thing by positioning your expertise. And sometimes we think that our expertise doesn't have any value outside of us just doing agency work. Like, nobody will pay for that, or why would they pay for that when they could get it for free? So I show you how to overcome that. Why would they pay for this when you can get it for free? And have people actually pull out their credit cards and be able to pay you for the knowledge that you already have. So that's what we do inside of my program, Design Your Career. Um, and that's just something that I recommend. I believe we're moving into an age within a profession where, and this isn't just me talking, this is just what the data is saying about the creator economy. The being a creator, this is going to be a new and viable career within the social work profession. I'm kind of like putting that out there and um, like calling that early, because I do think that that is the direction where we're going. Just like how when I was in school, financial social work wasn't a thing. Like we didn't really know about financial social work until later on in my career. I really think that social work content creation is going to be a viable career that social workers are going to be able to leverage and use to earn money to serve the populations that they want to serve. And I kind of wanted to be ahead of the curve on that conversation because I could see it coming, and there's not a lot of social workers in the space talking about it, and then it's not a lot of social workers in our space showing other social workers how to be content creators. So that's one of the things that I'm kind of taking up that mantle and wanting to show you like what that can look like for you, to where you don't have to work your way up the corporate ladder, or you don't have to wait for permission to teach what you know, or you don't have to operate off of productivity standards. I hated productivity standards when I worked in traditional. Like, why? Just let me serve the people I want to serve. Why do you have to calculate my work? It's not even a reflection of what I did in the time that I saw. Like the transformation that they got was way more valuable than this billable hour or this productivity number that you're trying to get me to reach. Like I hated operating that way. So I don't want any social worker to feel like the work that you do is it has to be like, what's the word I'm looking for? That it has to be dwindled down to a productivity standard or a productivity number. The work you do is so much more powerful than that. So any questions, any other questions? So I was going back to my list. Let's see. So we talked about Talkspace. We talked about the Department of Education. Talked about where the profession is going. So that's my projection of where I think the profession is going because of what's happening with the creator economy. I believe that social workers are going to need to understand how to use content in their career, whether we like it or not. I just think that's the way that the profession is going to go, because I think that the way the agencies are doing business is going to continue to not be sustainable. Like the research is not changing on how unsustainable it is to work in the profession doing traditional roles and the level of burnout that social workers are experiencing doing the work. When you learn how to do content creation, you get the best of both worlds. You don't have to choose between the population that you want to serve and the money that you want to earn. You get to serve who you want to serve and make the amount of money that you want to make without an agency telling you what that number has to be. So that's why I really encourage it as an option, as a career option, where you can literally map out like what would it take for you to create your first offer? What is the value that you would provide to someone? What is the transformation? I see creators all the time who don't have our level of specialization, our 4-year degree, and they're teaching social emotional learning, or they're teaching um, confidence skills. They're teaching anger management for kids. They're doing relationship coaching. They're doing ADHD and executive functioning. They're doing all kinds of things that we could be doing with our degree and with our certification. They're doing cognitive behavioral therapy, but they're not calling it cognitive behavioral therapy. So if we as social workers and therapists really took ownership over our careers, we could be on the forefront of a lot of these issues that we're seeing with misinformation, with people not knowing how to do the level of work that we're doing, and then not having the advocacy lens or that holistic perspective. That's one of the best things that the social work profession offers us, is our ability to look at things from different lenses. So we're not just looking at the political implication, we're not just looking at the social implications, we're looking at the family implications, the societal implications, not, and also the political implications, the cultural implications. So because we have our lens is so broad, when we provide value to a family or to a mom or to a woman who's going through a difficult relationship, we understand how that one relationship impacts her in all aspects of her life, not just the relationship, but how is that relationship impacting your finances? How does it impact your ability to parent? How is it impacting your ability to show up for yourself? So because we have such a large lens within our profession, it primes us to be able to offer content to someone on the other side of the screen who would need what we have, who needs what we know. And I believe that to my core. Let's see. Learn public speaking. Yeah, I definitely think that's important. Toastmasters is great for expanding public speaking. Absolutely. I was told to learn public speaking as well. Yeah, I do think that's a really important skill. I definitely think learning how to speak in front of the camera, learning how to articulate your views, the things that matter to you, that is absolutely important, because that's what I mentioned about it being an art to being on social media. That's definitely a skill that you want to learn when you're learning how to make content. And I'm curious, are any of you on here interested in making content, in terms, or are you already making content like through a YouTube channel, Instagram, or TikTok? Are any of you already making content? I probably should have asked that earlier, but curious. Let me know if any of you are already making content. Are you already making videos, reels, carousels online? So I do think that is a part of the art. Part of the art is learning how to articulate your thoughts. But when you're making content online, it's not about you necessarily. Your content needs to be about the other person that you're helping, the person who has the problem that you're trying to solve, the one who's experiencing the difficulty or the challenge. Your job when you're making content is to understand that person's perspective and point of view and problem and pain point so vividly that you can paint a picture for them of what it's like to go through their experience. And oftentimes, because we ourselves have done the work or we've been through the situation, we're really good at articulating what the problem is from their perspective. But one of the other things that I help social workers and therapists do is learn to know where to go to get the words. If you don't know what she's saying, the person who you want to serve, where can you go online to find the words that she's saying? So when you learn how to speak back to your ideal client, the exact thing that she's saying, the exact thing that she's experiencing, and then online, what you want to do is you want to help that person overcome what I call the invisible bridge, meaning there's a pain point and a problem that that person that you want to serve is experiencing right now, and all she wants is to get some relief, some remedy, and a solution for that thing that she's experiencing in this moment. When you make content online, your content then becomes the bridge in the middle that gets her from where she is, what she's thinking, and how she's feeling, to a solution that's going to help her see what you have to offer is something that she has to have right now to improve her life. And that's what we do every day in social work. We're problem solvers. By the nature of our profession, we solve problems. So all you need online is the marketing skills and the sales skills to be able to bring it together to create an offer for the ideal client that you're wanting to work with. So learning to have public speaking skills is definitely important. The other skill that's important is marketing and sales. Those are the other two major skills that you have to master for making content online. Okay. I'm very interested. Okay, perfect. No, not interested in making content, but interested to learn new things that involve with expanding and exploring sound social work. Okay, perfect. I'm starting to create content. Okay, good. Yeah, what's your question? You're interested? Okay, good, good, good. Yeah, well, I'm going to be uploading more videos on my channel talking about content creation. And it isn't for everybody, just like, there's some areas of social work that isn't for everybody. Just like I mentioned, I work with schools. There are a lot of social workers and therapists who are like, I don't work with kids. I don't have a desire to work with kids. I never want to work with kids for my entire career. Yeah, it's not for everybody. But for those, that's why I said for those of you who are already making content, it's just a natural fit. It just makes sense to go that extra step and learn how to turn it into something that could help you on the back end, especially if you just have a desire to continue serving the population that you're working with. Did you have a question? Is it hair? I can't see. Sorry. Last name Brown, or last part of the name is Brown? You can go ahead and ask your question. If anyone else has a question, you can go ahead and put that in the chat and I'll answer it. I am currently doing my BSW. Okay, congratulations, graduating in May. I want to start a YouTube page, okay, concerning school support. Okay. You want to start a YouTube page concerning school support. What type of school support? So, school support for parents? I think that's a really good idea. I'm actually working with one of the social workers in my membership. She's a school counselor, and we're about to start working on her YouTube channel, and it's gonna be geared toward parents and the skills that she has as a school counselor. And I'm gonna show her, how to post her videos, how to monetize, all the things. So let me know what kind of support. And I think we covered everything that I wanted to talk about today. I did want to make mention that on July the 7th, I'm launching my first permission slip challenge. So if you all follow me, you probably know that in terms of planning out my year, I follow the 12-week year model. So starting in July, we're going to be in our third 12-week year, right? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Yes, July to September is our third 12-week year, October, and then October to December is our fourth 12-week year. So for the third 12-week year, I'm launching the permission slip challenge. And the permission slip challenge is going to be for social workers and therapists who know that they have a desire to teach what they know online. Like I said before, maybe you're already making content and you want to learn how to turn that content into something that you can monetize and earn extra income. Then the permission slip challenge is where I show you how to do that. And it's over 5 days. We meet for 1 hour, 5 consecutive days. And I show you how to identify your who, like who's the person that you want to target. It might be the person that you're already working with and helping. How to put your offer together. So what is it? What's going to be that transformation, that invisible bridge that I talked about? Your messaging. What are the things that you need to say to that person? Understanding sales psychology and marketing. So those are all the pieces that we're going to put together during the 5-day challenge. So if any of you are interested in coming to the permission slip challenge, you can let me know, and then I could drop the link in the comments. And if you know that you're interested in content creation, I 100% encourage you to come to the permission slip challenge. This is going to be something that I do every 12-week year, just kind of to launch that next year. And it's continuing to give yourself permission to show up for yourself, to make the decision around what type of social worker do you want to be, knowing that your career is in your hands. No one else is going to decide who you can serve but you. No one else is going to decide how much you can earn from your degree but you. No one's going to determine whether the degree was worth it but you. So it's you giving yourself permission to design and create the career that you want. So I'm super excited about it. This is going to be the first challenge. So I would love for anyone who's interested to join me. Now, the challenge isn't free, it is a paid challenge, um, but it's 100% worth it. Okay, let's see. I've been in, oh, wait, did I answer your question on helping paraprofessionals, teachers aides? Oh, that's good. That's a good niche if you wanted to build a YouTube channel around that. I think that's really helpful. So any type of resources that you could put together for teachers, is it going to be centered around behavioral needs? Is that what's going to be the focus? So I think if you were to do your channel for teachers and paraprofessionals and you focus on helping them better understand behavioral concerns in the classroom or in the school setting, that would be a really good channel to start. So then your goal with the channel would just be to answer those questions that teachers didn't go to school to manage behavior. They went to school to teach curriculum, reading, writing, math, science, all of those things. So when they come into contact with students who have autism or ADHD or anxiety or are not emotionally regulated, sometimes teachers don't know how to handle that and how to manage it. And sometimes it can disrupt their own internal system because they don't know how to hold and manage someone else's emotions. Now, that's been integrated more into the teaching profession, but what an amazing opportunity for you as a social worker to maybe help teachers learn how to emotionally regulate, to let them know when they're outside of their window of tolerance or when they're responding to a child's behavior and they need to operate more out of compassion than out of anger. So helping them get those tools, I think that could be a really great channel to start. Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, someone says, I've been an EAP therapist in federal spaces, and there's a lot of public speaking, creating wellness workshops as a part of psychoeducation. It's not something I like, but it was the job. Oh, okay. Well, what is it that you like? If you didn't like doing that, what is it that you want to do? How to follow IEP plan. Oh, perfect. That's really good. Yep. I think that's really good. I think that could be a strong channel. And I think any specialized channel or any specialized knowledge that you have, those make the best channels because people are actively searching for those things. Teachers are already looking for those resources right now. So the only thing you would need to know how to do is how do you make sure that your videos come up in search? Because I don't know if you all know, but YouTube is a search engine. YouTube is the second largest search engine to Google. So when someone goes on Google to search something like how to put my behavioral interventions in for my IEP or how to write my behavioral interventions for my IEP, when they search that into Google, not only is AI coming up at the top, not only are articles coming up at the top, but then YouTube videos are also coming up for search results. So the only thing you would need to do is learn how to make sure that your videos rank in search, in Google search, for the exact things that teachers are searching for. So when they go in to search about an IEP or when they go in to search about a behavioral plan or behavior intervention, your video comes up right there. And then you want it to be a quick win, something informative, because we talked about that invisible bridge. We already know the pain and the problem. The pain and the problem that the teacher is experiencing is how do I write this behavior intervention to where it meets the objectives of the IEP? So they're probably going to be looking for templates. They're probably going to be looking for guides, how to better understand the behavior, how to express it in a way that fits the IEP. So I would say if you're doing that work now, listen to where the teachers struggle. Like, what is the hardest part? What trips them up? What do they wish was easier? Where are they going for resources? Like, you should be in like inquisitive detective mode if this is really something that you want to do, because every problem that they have, every question that they have, that then becomes the title for your YouTube video. I was wondering if I should wait until I get my master's or when I'm, no, no. If you have the knowledge now, do it now with the knowledge that you have. You know enough. I'm sure you might not know everything, so you stay within your scope. And you want to make sure you have the capacity to stay consistent. Like, all you would really need to do is ask yourself if you could upload one video a week. If you can commit to one video a week, I don't think you have to wait for your master's. Let's look it up right now. Do you have an idea of what teachers are struggling with? Like, what is the question that they're asking? What is their difficulty around the IEP? So let's just go to Google and let's type in how to, or what would they be typing in Google? Oh, absolutely. No, you don't need to wait for your master's. 17 years experience. That is a master's. How to follow an IEP plan effectively. Okay, let's type that into Google. So we need to know what teachers are searching. How to follow an IEP. Would it be how to track IEP goals or how to work effectively with administration? How to follow an IEP plan as a teacher, proper implementation. So if would they be typing in how to follow an IEP as a teacher? Possibly, because we got to know what they would be typing into Google. Let's just say it is how to follow. Yes, okay. How to follow an IEP as a teacher. Let's just say new teacher, just kind of got into the profession, new to IEPs, doesn't really know. Okay, so when I type that in, how to follow an IEP as a teacher, you probably won't be able to see my screen. Oh, yes, you can. See how chat comes up first, and then what's the next thing you see? Oh, sorry about my nails, guys. I gotta go get them done. Then what's the next thing you see? Videos, YouTube videos. So when you learn how to make content online, that's where your videos will show up. So the first video that came up is what to say in an IEP meeting as a teacher. IEP meeting hacks every teacher should know. How to write an IEP as a special education teacher. So your videos will begin coming up in search with these videos. And the last video was made last year for search. Now, Google and YouTube are always looking for the most relevant videos to show. So if you were to make a video similar to these videos and it was more recent and more current, then Google is going to want to show your video at the top of search. So if we were to go to the videos that are coming up the most is a channel called Rise Educational Advocate. So when I click on her video, then I can see that she makes videos around special education. IEP and 504 Help is her channel. And she's been doing it for about a year. So that lets you know, because we have a channel here that is already on the platform. She's already getting views on her videos. That lets you know that there's a market for what it is that you want to create. So yeah, that is definitely something that you could do, and yours would just have that social work, social services spin, because it sounds like her market is teachers, but your videos could rank right alongside of hers. And then if you wanted to add on a service like consulting or a training or a workshop, then you would just add that into the description of your video. And then that's how you monetize it before you've gotten your 4,000 watch hours or your 1,000 subscribers. You put a link to a training or a webinar inside of your description, and they pay for it. And then you can begin earning money from that. What I would do is, if you wanted to go to her channel, I would probably go to some of her videos and see the questions that people are asking in the comments, and then you could start making videos answering those questions if you have the answer to it. That's one of the things that I recommend in my membership for making content. Just go see what people are already asking and then make your video around that topic. Now, it's a little bit more to it than that, but that can be enough to get you started. Okay. Hope that was helpful. As an American social worker, how do you view qualifications from countries like Zimbabwe? Do you think international bodies do enough to recognize and validate qualifications from the global south? Um, how do you view qualification? I don't think that we do. I don't think that we recognize qualifications from other countries. I would say it might depend on maybe the institution. I'm trying to think, like from the age. No, I think when it comes to getting employed in the US, and when I've worked as like a hiring manager, they want to see that you have a degree, credentials and qualifications from the US, or you have a close equivalent. If we can see that your experience is a close equivalent to the role that we're looking to hire for, then that could work. But oftentimes when we know that something in the US is accredited, we know that it is past certain requirements that says you have a depth of knowledge or a scope of knowledge because your program went through this level of rigor. Sometimes when it's an international program, we don't have that same understanding, like how rigorous was this program? What did it actually teach them? Do they have the capacity to understand the problems, the concerns, the helping process? Because we know that our programs in the US go through this criteria to ensure that when they come out with their degree, they already know these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. So if someone doesn't know about your educational program in Zimbabwe, then we don't know whether or not it's met the same rigor that a program in the United States has. So that could be a reason why it might not be as easy. But it depends on, I think it depends on the agency. So I used to work a lot with Catholic Social Services in my community, and they did a lot of work with refugees from other countries. And because they did work with refugees, they hired a lot of people who spoke different languages from other countries. So if you were looking to maybe become an interpreter for a social service agency, or to work with like where I work, we had a high population of like Turkish families. So if you were coming into the country and you knew a state or a city within the United States that had a high population of people who moved or came in from Zimbabwe, then that might be a really good opportunity for you to leverage your knowledge and skills to say, you have this huge population in your community. No one in the community really speaks the language or understands the culture. And then you could position yourself as a resource or someone who would need to be hired because you have something that that organization or that company needs. So I would say look at the US, or you probably already know just from being in your community, what places in the United States have the most highest and dense population of people from Zimbabwe. And then that could be your in begin doing some work. I hope that answered your question. What type of work are you doing or do you want to do? And that was one of the other things that I wanted to do with my channel, because I know I get people listening from all around the world. I really wanted to start like honoring and like shouting out people from other countries, because I think that's amazing, and I'm so grateful for the support. And I know that you all have questions about social work, just as um, social workers in the US have questions. So I would really want to do a better job of making sure that I'm answering some of those questions, but I'm not an expert in like international studies or international social work. But I would love to at least highlight the work that you all are doing in other countries as it relates to the social work profession, because I think that's so amazing. We have an international profession and can still do so much good work. How's how's the profession going? Oh, is it growing in the US? Yes. The social work profession is absolutely growing in the US. We're always going to have a need for social workers. As long as social problems exist, we'll always need social workers at the micro level. So the micro level of practice is the direct practice level where you're working one-on-one with the clients directly impacted by what the social problem is, directly impacted by poverty, directly impacted by DV, directly impacted by houselessness, all the social problems, um, in macro level social work, which we call it in the US. As long as those problems exist, your families, communities will need social workers to help with resolving those problems. Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Oh, French communities, yes. So I would definitely say, do you know what cities or states within the United States have a high population of people from Zimbabwe? That's where I would begin doing the research. More people with more mental issues. Okay. Oh, thank you for being here. Oh, I'm glad you caught it too. Thanks so much for showing up. And let me know if you have any questions. Are the salaries or pay, oh, hold on, higher? Higher than what? If in US dollars, do you know what the equivalent would be in US dollars? So, um, depending on the work that you want to do, that's going to determine the salary. Um, so, a bachelor's level in the US, we're starting anywhere from 40,000, 30, 40,000 with the math with a bachelor's, master's, anywhere depending on the work, what you're doing. US dollars is anywhere between 40 to 90,000, can be upward to 100,000 if you're doing program administration, corporate social responsibility, um, community-wide initiatives or statewide initiatives. Governmental work is going to pay more. Tech related jobs is going to get you up in that 90, 100,000 range. Higher ed is going to get you up to the 60, 70,000 range. So if you're doing community-based mental health work, you're probably going to be at that 45, 50,000, depending on the state. So registered social worker with a diploma, and I want to specialize in medical and administration. Hope to get a job so I can proceed. Sorry, I can't see. The words are small. To a degree. Okay, perfect. Are you from the US? specializing in medical, social work, and administration. Yeah, medical social work, you can be up in the 70, 80, 90,000 with medical social work, sometimes more. Oh, you're from New York? Oh, okay, nice. Yeah. Are you having a hard time finding a role in New York? Do you do one-on-one consults? I do. I've been meaning to email you about it. Absolutely. So if you go to the link, let me add the link to my stand store. And I say it in my videos all the time. If you all want to schedule a one-on-one, now I will say I have mostly been reserving my one-on-ones for people who are wanting to teach what they know online, whether it be through a workshop. Let me say, just because I mentioned about teaching what you know online, it doesn't mean that you have to be like, who's a super famous content creator that you all might follow? Um, I don't even know who you all follow for content, but I don't. When I say content creation, I don't want you to think it's content creation like like an influencer. Or do you guys follow like Speedy or what's the other guy's name? Kai Sanat. It's not that kind of content creation. When I say content creation, it's just a vehicle, meaning your expertise becomes the content. So if you are, like someone said in the comments, that they help teachers with IEPs, that becomes the content. You're only putting a camera in front of you to teach what you always say in your job. So it's not like you're like doing TikTok dances and all the things. It could just be talking straight to camera or doing some type of carousel, but it's education based content. It's not what you see other people doing. And the reason why our education based content works is because people want to connect with experts. They want to connect with people who have a level of knowledge that they don't have. So that's why I'm such an advocate of teaching what you know, because there are people out there who are looking for the thing that you already do in your job every day or the thing that you do in your practice every day. So with the one-on-ones is really to just extract that knowledge. Like, what is it that you already do that you could be teaching online, that you can make a workshop about it, that you can host a training or a webinar and earn a little bit of money from the knowledge that you already have? What can you teach that someone wants to hear from you, that's something that they want to know about? So that is mostly what I do reserve the one-on-ones for, but I'll go ahead and drop the link for my stand store. And then let me make sure the calendar. Yes, it's the second box. Schedule your teach what you know call. And then you can just book from there. Okay, so that's the link if you want to schedule a one-on-one. And the calls are recorded. You get feedback, you get notes from what we discuss on the call, an action plan for you to implement. And then if you want to schedule a follow-up once you've implemented the action plan, my schedule is open for social workers and therapists who need it. Okay, let's see. Have LMSW. I'm in. Oh, okay, perfect. Are you teaching? Are you teaching online? Trainings, workshops, webinars, digital products? One of my best friends is a social worker with a master's. Oh, okay, perfect. Nice. Okay. Oh, Dr. Raquel Martin. Okay, perfect. Yes. Is that what you mean about a content creator, Dr. Martin? That's what you. Yes. Dr. Martin is a content creator. But Dr. Martin, her goal with her content isn't 100% to monetize. Like, she gives a lot away for free. Um, but what she does is what I, yes, she just turns on the camera, and if the camera wasn't on, You wouldn't even know that she was making content because that's just who she is. She shows up as who she is and she draws her audience to her. But she doesn't offer nearly enough training and workshops and webinars. Like she could literally be a millionaire right now, but I don't think that's her desire. I don't think she does it quote unquote for the money. Um, but yeah, she literally could be a millionaire right now. And just imagine, I saw one of her posts. I think she was trying to fund some project that she was working on. I think it was a documentary or something, and she had requested a grant or some money, and then she posted that her proposal got rejected. I'm like, rejected? How? Like the community like rallied around her and was like, how much is it? How much do you need? Like they were in the comments ready to fund her whole project. Like you have a community of 800,000 people. You don't have to apply for anybody's anything. You just pull it from your community because they love the work that you do and they will support you at the drop of a hat. So yeah, that's a perfect example. Thank you. No, not yet. That's why I'm going to set up the appointment. Okay, perfect. I cannot wait. Looking forward to it. I used to in the past, but just need to get back into it and be consistent. Yeah, that could be the thing. Like, I know for myself, I made the decision before I started posting that this was going to be my business model. And I think when you decide around whether or not you want to make content, I feel like that's the decision that you need to make. Because I feel like when you're a therapist, you can make the decision around what your business model is going to be. Your business model can be private pay, your business model can be insurance, your business model can be a group practice or it could be a solo practice. When you're building out your social work career, it's not necessarily a business model, but you make a decision around whether or not you want to do direct practice, you want to do meso level work, micro level work, macro level work, or what I call now content creation, teaching what you know. So in everything that you do, you're going to have to decide how you're going to make money. And I decided early in my career that content creation was going to be a steady thing that I do in my career to be able to make money. It wasn't going to be speaking on stages. I have no desire to speak on big stages. I have no desire to do a TED talk. I have no desire to host big retreats. I might maybe do something later, but that is not anything that I want to be a part of my business model. But doing something like this, making YouTube videos, selling digital products, that is my business model. So I really think that for your career, you're probably going to need to make that decision if you haven't already. Like what is my career going to look like? What is it going to entail? Some people's business model is government contracts. Like that's how they make their money. They go after government contracts and that's the business model. I have no desire to do government contracts. I've done contracts and it's feast or famine. It's like you're always on a cycle waiting for the next thing. And I don't want to run my business that way. So we need you at Uplifting Melanin Queens conference. Oh, when is that? Or where is it? I don't mind doing small appearances. I just am not the person that is always launching something, like always has a convention or every month is traveling to go speak here and go speak there. Like I like doing things every once in a while, but I'm not like on a plane going to different cities and setting up tours. Like, no, thank you. Oh, I would love that. Yeah, well, when you set up the call, we'll talk about it for sure. I would love that. Well, I'm so glad you made the live. Um, Let's see how long we've been on. We've been on for an hour and 30 minutes. Does anyone have any questions before we wrap up? Thank you all so much who are still here, who have been here. Oh, next month from July 29th to August 1st. Okay, yes, you can send me the details. Let me put well, we're going to connect anyway. So once you um, schedule your one-on-one, you'll already be on my email list. I mean, it's the info at, but I'll just go ahead and send you my email. I can't even see. It's so small. That should be right. I think I forgot the K. That's not right. Okay. I just added my email. But like I said, if you use the Stan Store link and set up the one-on-one, we'll be in contact anyway, so we can talk about the details. That would be amazing. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up the live? Again, want to invite any of you who are interested to my permission slip challenge. It starts July the 7th. You're going to be hearing me talk about it on YouTube. I'm going to be doing lives about it. I'm going to be making YouTube videos, carousels, Instagram posts, TikTok, all the things, encouraging y'all for this third 12-week year. So our third planning year around the 12-week year model. I don't know if you all know the book or have the book, The 12-Week Year. That's what I use for my planning, for my goals. We're moving into our third 12-week year in July. And as a part of that, I'm launching the Permission Slip Challenge. So this is for you. If you know you want to create an online offer, you know you have value that you want to provide to the community, you want to create a digital product or a workshop, then you're 100% invited to join the Permission Slip Challenge, where we're giving ourselves permission to start, permission to teach what we know, permission to no longer be in the background of our careers, permission to create and design the career that we want on our own terms. No more waiting for billing or insurance companies to pay us more. No more being stuck in one-on-one client work. No more feeling stuck in doing work that you don't love or enjoy, or feeling like you have to abandon your clients, going private pay, or increasing your rates. So I want to show you how you can still serve the population that you came into this work to serve, but use online resources and tools to do it. So if that sounds like you and something that you're interested in, then I would love for you to join me in the Permission Slip Challenge. And again, you'll be seeing more information about it on social media. So, oh, perfect. Oh, good. Okay. Oh, yes. Did you join Design Your Career? Because we've had a couple meetings. Are you on my school community? Is there a recording for what was said tonight? I think you'll be able to watch it once the stream ends. Oh, yes, we need to connect. We had 2 Thursday meetings. I wanted you to be there. Oh, it's every Thursday. If it's not in the email when you sign up for Design Your Career, then I'll go and include it in the emails every Thursday at 7 p.m. So yeah, we got to get that going so we can get your offer created. Okay, yes, every Thursday. And then when you go into the school community, if you look on the school tab, on the classroom tab, that has everything where you would need to get started inside of the Design Your Career curriculum. So it should be it's pinned to the top of the school community, start here. And then when you go to the classroom tab, it walks you through the school platform so you can be familiar with the school platform. And then the Design Your Career curriculum is right there for you to start going through your 14-day implementation plan. That's just for you to get clear on your vision for your career, your mission, create your professional purpose statement. So you have like a solid foundation on and getting clear on your goals. And then when we create your offer, that's the stuff that you do online. I work until 8. Okay. Okay. All of the sessions are recorded. So I talked to the other girls in the community about alternating the days. So maybe Wednesdays, get off at 6 on Wednesdays. Okay, maybe in July we could probably do a Wednesday to see if you can make it. But all the previous recordings of all the 7 o'clock classes, those are in there. Oh, perfect. Yes. Excuse me. Please do work through the 14-day implementation plan and the videos when you go into school, so it shows you exactly where to get started. But yeah, um, we'll schedule a one-on-one so we can get you started. Okay. Any other questions for me before we wrap up for tonight? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being a part of the community. I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to working with you. I can't wait to talk with you to see what it is that you're looking to create so we can get it out. It's going to be so good. So then I have to see how comfortable you are on camera, because one of the things that I mentioned inside the community the other week, a couple weeks ago, was doing videos on my YouTube channel. So whatever offer that we put together for you, we can do a Zoom, pre-record the Zoom and then upload it on the channel. And then we'll put your digital product in the description. So you can try to get some promotion for it that way. But we'll have some other strategies that we'll use for your digital product idea. But I do want to make sure that we talk about it in public, whatever it is that we create. So I'm excited. Any other questions? Thank you all so much for being here. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here with me today. So thank you. Um, I do have my most recent YouTube video that I posted on Monday. So my YouTube videos post every Monday. So you all can watch that video if you haven't. Um, I'm not exactly sure what my next video is going to be, but I know that I have one in queue where I interviewed, oh gosh, well, I always mispronounce her name, Tyreka. Tyreka Watson, and she focuses on forensic social work. So I talked to her about her content creation journey. So she makes content on TikTok, but she's leveraged TikTok to be able to start selling her online workshop. And her online workshop is showing other social workers how to become forensic evaluators. And that's her offer. So she built out what I call a one-to-many offer. She uses TikTok to draw in her audience, and then she sells her training or her workshop for $97. And she has an email list, and she makes content, and then she makes money from her workshop. So that's what I want social workers to be able to do, using the power of content, teaching what you know. She's not dancing on TikTok. She's not doing makeup tutorials. She's not doing, her hair. She's teaching what she already knows, what she does every single day inside her practice. So that video is going to be coming up soon. So I'm excited for you all to see that one. Oh, absolutely. You're so welcome. TikTok is good. Yes, absolutely. It is. Just getting on. How can I even get a living wage in social work field other than content creation? How long have you been a social worker? What's your area of expertise? The only reason why I promote content creation is because it's one of the only routes to true freedom over your time, over your career, and over your income. And that's ideally what we want as social workers. We just get stuck in doing work that we think we have to do because we don't know how to leverage our expertise in other ways. So what is your expertise that you're currently doing within the profession? And I will say this for those of you, again, I talk about the three phases of professionalism. Some of you are in the career phase where you're working in your 9 to 5. Some of you are in the scaffolding phase where you're building something outside of your 9 to 5, where you're wanting to start something on your own, such as coaching, consulting, digital products, a YouTube channel to begin selling your digital products or monetizing your expertise. And then some of you are in the social work CEO phase where you're 100% working in your business and the money that you own comes from your business. So let me know, what is it that you're doing or that you want to do? I do therapy at the associate level and it's been a year. Okay, who do you serve? Like if you could wave a magic wand and serve the population that you will want to serve, who would that be? Haven't found it yet. Okay. So you said you're a therapist. Let me make sure I read that right. I do therapy. Okay. So that means you at least have a bachelor's or a master's. So when you came into the profession, who was it that you wanted to serve when you decided to get your social work degree? Because that to me is where you find the most satisfaction, is doing the work, not for the money, but doing the work that you feel aligned with doing. Because you can find a high paying social work job, but it doesn't mean that it's a good fit for your values. It doesn't mean that it's not going to violate what I call your non-negotiables. So I think in everyone who's still here within your social work career, you want to start with identifying what your values are within the social work profession, not the dollar amount. Because if you find the dollar amount in the job, but it violates your non-negotiables, then you're going to be miserable in the job. So your non-negotiables are all of those things that you say, this is a no-go for me. One could be working on the weekends. One could be working on holidays. One could be using your car to do the work. One could be productivity standards. But let's say a job pays you $95,000, but it violates all of your non-negotiables. Would you want to stay in that job? You would probably do it because the money is good, but you would dread it because you're working on the weekends, which was one of your non-negotiables. You're driving people around in your car, or hauling things in your car. I remember when I worked in higher ed and I was doing alumni events. I was working at a university, and because we were hosting alumni at the university, I had to go get the catered food. And one time when I went to get the food, it fell all on the back seat of my car. Now, they didn't reimburse me for that. Now, I liked the job, but then one of my non-negotiables was I'm not putting anything or anybody else in my car, like ever. I'm not taking another job where people are going to be in my car. Okay, let's see. I haven't found my niche. Okay, adults, single moms. Okay, what is it that you wanted to do with the single moms when you decided that you wanted to work with them? Did you want them to get access to resources? Did you want them to have more healthy relationships? Um, did you want them to have access to better housing options? What is it that you wanted to do with them? Oh, good. I'm glad you found it helpful. Yeah, so my 112 careers in social work list, that's a really good start on helping you identify what those roles are that aren't titled social work. So when you're deciding that you want to come into the profession, I initially made that document for African American social workers and therapists because that's who I wanted to target at first. Um, and some of the roles are really central to where can we find roles, because as African Americans, sometimes when we go into these agencies and institutions, it's very easy to be treated like you're invisible, and you give ideas and people talk over you like you didn't just say what you just said. Or um, you put your idea out on the floor, they tell you it's not a good idea, then the next week someone else is presenting your idea and doing the exact same thing that you just said a week ago. Like, nobody has time for that. So I really wanted to give us safe space roles. So if you do have the 112 careers, you might notice that a lot of the roles are centered around like the Urban League, NAACP, places like that I think just give us a break. But anybody can use the list. I wanted to initially have my own nonprofit with resources. Okay. Get a diploma in social. Oh, got a diploma in social services, but never did anything after I graduated. Okay. Well, let me go back to the other question first. You said, I wanted initially to start my own nonprofit with resources. Okay. So what happened? How do we end up in therapy or as a therapist? And as a therapist, are you serving single moms? Like, what's the path here? Because if we don't know the answers to these questions, this is the thing that's probably creating the difficulty with the livable wage. Because we don't know your expertise, who you serve, what you do, and what value you would be able to provide to an organization who would pay you a livable wage. And if you do work with single moms, who are the agencies that are already working with single moms, and what value can you provide to those agencies that they will pay you a livable wage? We got to identify that. Did you tell me where you were from? Because you will want to look at the agencies and the organizations in your community who are already serving those women, if that's who you want to work with. And you have to have some type of specialization if you want to move. I would want you to move beyond a livable wage. Like, livable wage is just you being able to maintain. But if you want to do more than maintain, you have to level up your skill set so that people will want to pay you more. This is for those of you who've been watching my videos, this is the reason why I tell you, or I recommend to you, not to seek out roles that pay you your quote unquote worth. You want roles that are going to pay you based on the value that you provide to solving problems at the organization. Because I would love for you to be able to get a role that pays way more than a livable wage, but we got to identify what your high value skills are. Okay, I got a diploma in social service work, but never did anything after I graduated in 2009. Okay, when you got the diploma in social service work, what did you want to do with it? What was your goal? Who did you want to serve? Working on licensure. Okay, trying to get my supervision hours to become independently licensed. Okay, then when you become independently licensed, what's the goal? So I'm curious, what's your skill set? What's your expertise? Because a license, I mean, it could get you higher pay, but it might not get you working with the population who you want to work with. I would want to see you do both. Because if you get your license, what that is going to do is going to cause you to start looking for roles that pay you more based on the fact that you have a license. It's not necessarily going to put you in alignment with roles that you actually want to do. That's how we get stuck in the profession. That's how we end up cycling through a lot of roles that we don't enjoy because we want to do something that pays a lot. Hold on. We want to do something that pays a lot, but it doesn't really align with who it is that we actually want to serve and work that we actually want to do. So you never want money to be your highest priority. That's a mistake that I made in my career, and then I see a lot of social workers make in their career. We chase the money more than our our value aligned skill sets, things that align with our skill sets. Okay, I've only been doing therapy for 6 months after graduating with my MSW. Okay, so were there not roles available in North Carolina working with single moms that you wanted to do? I worked in North Carolina and I love that you're creating the space for people to talk about. I think it cut off, and I hear you, people getting paid their value that they bring, but the late stage capitalist, but in the late stage capitalist, maybe it got cut off. Oh, it feels to me like we keep getting paid last, but are asked to do more. Absolutely, we're being paid last and least and asking to do more. That's the nature of the social service business model. That's why I've been making a lot more content saying that us making more money in our profession is not about necessarily the licensure. It's the business model. We were taught in a business model, a social service model, to exchange our time for money. Our time becomes the lever that organizations use to continue to get us to do more work, which is why we're always tired and exhausted and burnt out, because the money that we make is always tied to how much we show up and how much we do and how much we serve and how much we give. That's why we're always exhausted, because the exchange is always their money for our time, their money for our energy. And that's the social service model that we get stuck in. But when you learn how to position your value over your worth, then you start understanding, what do companies actually value? What do they want to pay for? What would they put their money behind? So sometimes agencies don't really value that direct practice. They know that they need to get the work done, but they don't value as much as they value the finances of the organization. They don't value it as much as they value the fundraising of an organization, bringing money in. Anything that's going to bring more money into an organization is the thing that they tend to value the most. Everything else is a byproduct of that. So your direct service work that you're doing with clients, that's just a byproduct of getting them access to more money. So they don't put a lot of value in the person doing the direct practice work. And that's oftentimes why we're paid so little. But if you have a skill set that directly impacts the bottom line of an organization, that's why those roles tend to be paid more. the lawyer, the accountant, the grant writer, the CEO, the marketing department, the operations manager. So if you can learn how to position your skills as higher value or how to communicate your skills as higher value, that's how you're going to learn how to make more money. So if you say that your skill set is I help single moms, people don't find value in that. So they're not going to pay a lot of money for that. Why? Because the perception of a single mom in American society, she's dispensable. She doesn't have this is how society perceives the single mom. This is why we get paid so little to help the single moms because of their perception of the single mom. The single mom isn't quote unquote worth investing money into helping her because she's only going to squander it away. So why should we put so much time in that when we could be putting our resources into something else? So then they pay you a little bit of money so you can help the single mom, but they really value something else over there. And I think that's just like the unfortunate realities that we sometimes have to contend with when we want to serve a specific population, but then realize that agencies don't like to pay to do that work. I work in North Carolina. Okay, I think I read that already. I don't quite remember what demographic I wanted to work with initially. However, after the program, like working with people with disabilities, substance use, and people with mental illness. Okay, that could be a good option to start. But I would say if you want to make more, you will probably need to choose one and double down on one population and become an expert in something that that population is struggling with. And you want to be so good at what you do in helping that population that people seek you out. That is what shifts when you have a level of expertise. People start looking for you instead of you start looking for opportunities. Oh, pay less. Yes. The reason why you're probably paid less is because you got to reposition your value and who you serve and the problem that you help solve. You got to serve a big enough problem where people will want to pay you to solve it. I can't get hired anywhere due to the experience. Are you volunteering with the population that you want to work with? Is that Shanette? Are you volunteering with the population that you want to work with? Or at the agency or organization that you want to work with? Networking with the people at the company that you want to work with? So if you when you guys are working in your community, you got to identify who's paying, what companies, what organizations are paying, what roles are paying, and then you need to get in the room with those people. So what I used to do when I needed to know where to be, I would look. This when Facebook was the primary, but you could look on Instagram, whatever organization or agency that you want to work for. Look to see who's the executive director, who's the program manager, like holds some type of leadership role or position in the company, and then look at their website to see if they have an upcoming fundraiser, an upcoming initiative, any marketing or PR, any event that they're hosting in the community, and you need to be there. You already need to know the name of the CEO, the name of the operations director when you go into the room. And you need to know something about that, something that that organization is doing from looking at their website. So you got to be in the room. And then if they have something coming up, if they have a fundraiser coming up, or if they have some type of initiative, volunteer for it and meet all those key players at that agency or organization. If it's your city, if you want to work for your city, do the same thing. Find out what activities, initiatives, programs they have coming up. If the mayor's going to be there, if your city leaders are going to be there, and you need to show up, show your face, introduce yourself. You guys know how I did on my video about practicing your elevator pitch? Have you guys been practicing? I did placement with people that have disabilities and also with mental illness. Okay, perfect. So if disabilities is going to be your thing, I would say double down. I think that's why I have my preference as such. If I explore more, I may like other sectors. I mean, I think it's a good place to start if you have like a Department of Developmental Disabilities in your community. I would try to host a training. Would you feel comfortable doing that? Like partnering with someone in your community just to put your thought leadership out? I mean, it doesn't have to be like you're a 100% expert. It could just be around something that you know. Maybe you have a mentor or a coworker who can co-facilitate the training with you. It's just something to get you on the radar in your community as someone who works, specializes, has an interest in, is looking at the data and trends around developmental disabilities, because there's something going on in your community around developmental disabilities, and you could be on the forefront of talking about it and leading conversations around it. And this is another reason why I am an advocate of content creation, because your Instagram or your TikTok or your LinkedIn profile, that becomes your new resume. And instead of just making random content on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn, you show your advocacy through your post. And then you have a body of work that you can then take into your next interview. You're talking about it, you're advocating about it, you're staying up to date on trends, issues, advocacy that's happening at the state, local level, and then you're sharing your perspective. Like, what does this mean for residents of XYZ? How is this going to impact this population? And you don't do it, you do it in an informative way, not like a combative, um, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Not controversial, because you want to take a stance, but you don't want it to be like a defensive conversation. You want it to be more informative, where you're advocating, saying the pros and cons, the benefits versus the detriments. How's this going to impact things that we need to consider? Um, this is what this could look like a year from now. Like, you want to provide some thought leadership around what you're doing. And you don't need a master's degree to do that. You don't need your license to do that. You just got to give yourself permission to do your own research and then start putting your own thoughts. You probably have an idea and a perspective around disabilities or whatever your specialization is in. You just want to start using your voice to talk about those things, because that keeps you from competing with other people when you go to get a new role. Because again, you have research. Like, you could say, I just made a LinkedIn article about this population, or I just did research on these data points and I found out that our population is impacted in this way, and I think this is what can remedy the problem. That's using your thought leadership. That's what positions you for higher value roles. being a problem solver for an agency and not just looking for another job. Okay, I did placements with you. Okay, perfect. I read that. I think that's why I have, okay, read that. So true. I wish someone would have told me this when I was in school. I know that's the reason why I started the channel. I appreciate you speaking on this. Absolutely. Disheartening for different reasons. I knew I wouldn't get paid much, but it was also, why did you say that you knew you wouldn't get paid much? All these agencies claim to care about people, not only didn't care about me, but didn't care about the clients either. Just cared about making money. I mean, in business, yeah, that is sometimes the way it goes. And it's nothing wrong with caring about money. Like, I don't want you all to think just because a business cares about money that that's a bad thing. But I don't think that because they are prioritizing money that we need to be the martyrs of the work that don't get paid as much because their focus is on something else. Like, you can focus on making money. Like, I don't want you to think just because the company is focused on making money that you can't focus on it. You absolutely can do it just like they do it. And you should be thinking about it because they're thinking about it, which means they're not that much concerned about how much you're making. And they're not saying how can we pay, I don't know your name, Meow. They're not saying how can we pay Meow more. They're saying how can we get Meow to do more work and get more out of what she's doing. That is the disadvantage of capitalism, is getting squeezing all the juice out the lemon. But if you learn the game, then you don't have to be in a position where they're squeezing the juice out the lemon. If you wanted to serve the same population that an agency will pay you to work with, if you learn how to better position your expertise, you don't have to wait for an agency to pay you to work with that population. And then you already know that your skills have value because they were already willing to pay you for it. So if an agency is already willing to pay you to service that population, how much powerful would it be for you if you learn how to use your own knowledge, skills, and expertise to service them directly? No middleman through the company. You go directly to the person who needs it. Then you can set your own rate. You can charge what you want to charge. You can serve who you want to serve. So if you all aren't leveraging your social media pages in that way, I encourage you to do that. If you're looking for a higher paying role, strategically use your social media pages as a portfolio. Is this helpful for you guys? You have any questions? I don't want any of you to feel like this is one of the reasons why I created the channel, that you made a mistake getting your degree. I don't believe you made a mistake. People need the knowledge that you have. We just have to show you how to better position your knowledge and your expertise, how you can position it as a high value skill. And you don't need a license to do this. This is the other thing that I want you all to know. A lot of you are thinking, no, I need a license. Companies are just looking for good quality candidates. All the work that you will want to do doesn't necessarily require a license. You just got to be willing to go after the thing that you want. And the reality is, I was talking to someone about this earlier, most of you don't even want a license. You just want the income that comes with the license. So if we can figure out how to get the income that comes with the license, that's really the thing that you want. You just have been taught that the only way to get the income is to get the license. Just like I was taught that the only way to get the income was to get the license. And I think it's okay if we are honest about that. The only place that seems to be hiring in my location are social workers to work with the police, but I'm not really comfortable working for the police department. Okay, did you tell me what it is that you want to do? Who it is that you said disabilities. You want to work with people with disabilities. Okay. So right now, do you have enough experience to be able to work at an agency that already services people with disabilities? Because I'm assuming you all have a local Department of Developmental Disabilities in your community. You, in my opinion, you would really have to work in a leadership role to make money. Some type of policy level, some type of macro level work. If you want to make money working with people with disabilities, you're going to have to probably go macro, because direct practice is not going to make you enough. You need to be in some type of administrative role or some type of decision making role if you want to earn more. And that could be at the governmental level, so looking at your state, looking at your county or your city. But if you are wanting to do direct practice work with people with developmental disabilities, it's probably not going to be a lot of money in that. I have a BSW, social work, plan to get an MSW, interested in giving support. It's the most vulnerable disability, mental. I myself have a CSI, been working with NAMI for 3 years. Oh, okay. I mean, that's definitely, is that the population that you have a desire to work with, people with disabilities? So here's the thing, and I want to be honest with you guys about the profession. And I made a video, my most recent video is about this. So the traditional path that we're taught to take as social workers, meaning we get the degree, we get the bachelor's, we get the master's, we graduate, we work at the agency. If that's the route that you decide to take and you still want to do direct practice in that pathway, you have to understand that that pathway was not designed for you to make a lot of money. That wasn't the intention of it. It wasn't designed for that. So those service delivery models were created to get high level of service for low wages. If you know that that's not going to work for me, like I love working with this population, but the wages, I can't. You do have some options. One is you can continue to do the work with the population that you want to work with, but it might be at a different level of service. So instead of direct practice, you could stay in that micro, meso, macro model and then work your way up to macro, which is going to take you a little bit out of the direct service, but it's going to earn you a little bit more money. The other thing that I recommend for social workers is what I just mentioned before. There's other ways to service the the population with that services disabilities, but the model is different. The model is using content, reels, carousels, videos, webinars, trainings, things utilizing online tools where then you can provide the direct service to the population, but you can earn more money than doing it in direct practice. So you have options to make more. You're just going to have to be willing to change your business model. Business model meaning moving out of social service into more of um, a marketing model where you learn how to market your own skills and services online. You guys are familiar with PESI? Do y'all get CEUs from PESI? PESI's business model is still providing education and resources, but they do it in an online model that's direct to the practitioner. So just as they provide online resources and services direct to the person, that's the power of leveraging online tools is you get to go direct to the person, not through an agency. So that's an option for you. I definitely need your guidance because I've also found my value as a sponsorship coordinator. Oh, I love that. I love that. Isn't that fun? Do you enjoy that a little bit better? Yeah. I think that's the money. Sponsorship coordinator, you're going after the money. Those roles sometimes pay more, but they're so fun. Like I love those roles. And it allows you to be creative. And you're not dealing with the productivity standards. I mean, still you still have like KPIs, things that you have to um, work towards. Sometimes there's a specific sponsorship level or amount of money that you're required or asked to bring into the organization, but you get to be so creative in how you do it. So yeah, you have to catch the next live. I'm so glad you're here. If you want to, you can go check out some of my most recent videos, and then if you have any requests for videos after you watch it, just put it in the comment section. And then if I might do a video about that nonprofit sponsorship. Let me write that one down. I did. I talked about that one a little on one of I think it was my 10 careers in social work, but I didn't go into detail about it. Okay, hold on. So, sponsorship coordinator for a nonprofit. Sponsorship coordinator for a nonprofit. Okay, so I'll try to do a video about that. All right, everybody. So thank you all so much for joining me on the live. We will definitely do this again. This was so fun. I had such a great time talking to all of you, learning more about you, what you're doing in your career. So something was super obvious to me today. We need to do more career planning. We need to do more planning around getting you all positioned for better roles, learning how to position your expertise, putting you in the right rooms, and leveraging the resources and people in your community. That is obvious to me based on what we talked about today. Because somewhere along the line, we're figuring out the like putting the plane together while it's still flying in the air. Like, not having a solid and strong plan for one, what we came into the profession for, two, what are we supposed to be doing with the degree, and then three, how do we position it to get paid more without settling for what we think we have to have. So we need to have some more conversations about this because if you guys are in this community, the social work success path, like we need to make sure that you're making the most out of your career and not feeling like you just have to take what's given. Because my big thing is to design your career. Like that's the name of my program. My career clarity program is called Design Your Career for a reason, because I want you to know that you're the designer and the architect of your career. So if it's something about it that you don't like, We got to remake the blueprint. We got to write another blueprint. We got to make another plan. And it's within your control. You just got to know what to do and how to navigate it. So we'll do more lives around this so you guys aren't feeling stuck or like you don't have options or just have to take things that aren't aligned, that you're working outside of the thing that you really came into the profession to do. So that's going to require um, you guys are gonna I'm gonna have to know what you guys are doing in your community. Like, how are you showing up in your community? Because yeah, we can have conversations about what's happening in the online space, but the work that you're doing on the ground is the thing that matters. Because that's going to be the roles that people are going to pay you to do, is the roles in your community. Not unless you can find a remote role, but we at least got to get you something solid with some good experience and higher pay. Does that sound like a plan? Oh, perfect. Okay. Okay, let's see. Both mental and disability, maybe medical and healthcare, being front line to get the support and resources needed, but I want to do it remotely. Okay. All right. Well, we'll definitely be having more conversations so we can get you all squared away, feeling supported, like you have what you need. So yeah, we'll do more lives for sure. So thank you all so much for joining the live. It should definitely be recorded, and then you all could just come back and watch it on your own time if you would like to. But I'll be making more videos around what we talked about today. So um, this was helpful. It gives me a lot of insight and clarity on the next videos that I need to make. So I hope you all have a good night, and I'll see you all in the next live. You'll see me on Instagram, TikTok. Just say hi or comment, say you were on the live, and yeah, we'll just keep the conversation going. Have a good night.